If you are looking for a new pre-built PC and you're working with a tight budget and you want high frame rates for the price that you're paying, this video is going to be for you. I will show you the best budget pre-built PCs from $450 all the way up to $900, and I will also tell you what you can expect out of these systems in terms of gaming performance. That way, if you are new to PCs, you are able to understand the level of performance that you're getting, because it's not going to be the same performance if you want to play titles like Fortnite, Valorant and these type of shooters, or if you want to play more high demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Red Dead Redemption 2. And these PCs will be ideal for 1080p gaming and also 1440p depending on the system, and I will talk about that in a second. And you will have the link to all of these PCs mentioned down below in the video description with the latest prices. With that being said, let's start. With the first one, we have the cheapest one on the list for $480, so very cheap, and you get the Ryzen 5 5600G for the CPU and the RX 6400 for the GPU. This Pictus 15L is ideal for those who are on a really tight budget and you want to play at 1080p medium settings, or you want to play easy to run games at 60 plus FPS on average, but do not expect to have a 1080p high to ultra settings experience, because in that case you will have to spend more money. But for the price, you are getting a very decent gaming pre-built PC that's going to deliver solid performance at 1080p medium settings. If you have more money, jumping up to $600, we have the Asus ROG Strix G10DK gaming PC. This one has the Ryzen 5 3600X for the CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, 500 gigs of SSD and a 1660 Ti for the GPU. Now, the GTX 1660 Ti is a much more capable 1080p gaming GPU than the RX 6400. In fact, it's about 45% faster on average in terms of performance, and it has more VRAM. Here you can expect a 1080p 60 plus FPS on average experience on high settings, but it depends on the title. If you want to play Cyberpunk 2077 on ultra settings, you cannot expect 60 plus FPS on average with this system, but games like Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, you can expect to run on high settings with no issues. You can also run games like Fortnite at 144 plus FPS on average on performance mode, since you get that Ryzen 5 3600X, which is actually a solid processor from the AM4 platform. Not only that, but you get 32 gigs of RAM, which is always a plus if you want to do tasks like streaming. In my opinion, this is a really solid pre-built PC for the price that you're paying, but once again, do not expect 1080p ultra settings gaming experience on the latest AAA titles. However, you can expect a very nice experience for 1080p high settings overall. With the next one, we have a more expensive system for $745 in the Skytech Nebula. This one has the i5 13400F and the RTX 3050 alongside a 1TB NVMe SSD and 16 gigs of DDR4 memory. In terms of gaming performance, it's going to be very similar to the last one, because the RTX 3050 is slightly faster than the 1660 Ti, but the 3050 is newer. You get 8 gigs of VRAM, which is going to be helpful if you want to play AAA titles on ultra settings, and also you have technologies such as DLSS and ray tracing, even though I would not recommend turning on neither one of these, because at this price point those features are not really useful. But overall, this system is nice for 1080p high settings once again, with a newer GPU, and you also get a 1TB NVMe SSD instead of 500 gigs as the last one, so you have more storage. This PC, in my opinion, is not as exciting because of the price, but if you do not want to spend anything more than $750, in my opinion, this is the best one that you can get in terms of price or performance. But if you have another $100 to spend, I highly recommend you spending them, because you can get the same Nebula, but instead of getting the 3050 for the GPU, you get the RTX 4060, which is about 60% faster in terms of performance than the RTX 3050. So with this system, you can run 1080p ultra settings with no issues on any title. In fact, on a 15 game average from TechSpot at 1080p resolution ultra settings, the RTX 4060 got an average of 91 FPS, and on this test, high demanding games were being tested, so you can expect 80 plus FPS on average at least on the latest AAA titles ultra settings. Not only that, but it's also capable of 1440p resolution on that same 15 game average, but this time at 1440p. The 4060 got an average of 61 FPS, which is actually solid considering the settings and games that we are talking about. If you turn on the upscaler DLSS at 1440p, 1440p, you can expect higher frame rates, especially on those high demanding titles. So this PC in my opinion is the best one in terms of price to performance if you want to play high demanding titles at 1080p. But if you are more into esports titles and you also want to play AAA titles on the side, then in my opinion the best one is the Victus 15L. This one is $930, so a bit more expensive than the Skytech Nebula, but you get the i7 13700, which is the main difference between this one and the Nebula system. For the GPU you get the RTX 3060, which is slightly worse than the 4060 in terms of performance, not by a big margin though, but here you get 12 gigs of VRAM, so it's going to be a better CPU and GPU combo for esports titles gaming and also for content creation and productivity work. On top of that, you get more storage in 1TB of hard drive plus 500 gigs of SSD. But remember, the main difference here is the CPU with that i7 13th Gen, which is going to make a difference at 1080p in games like Fortnite, low or competitive settings, and with this system I guarantee you can achieve 240 plus FPS on average in those type of shooters. So if you want to buy a 240Hz 1080p monitor, feel free to do so. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that this system is on a huge discount. You end up saving $470. It used to be $1,400. Maybe the price is way different when you're watching this video. That's why I do recommend you checking the latest prices in the video description. And if you have even more money, I do recommend you watching my video on the best pre-built PCs for every budget and every resolution for this 2024 in the top right of the screen. I talk about every resolution, 1080p, 1440p and 4K, and every single budget. So if you have more money, you will have a PC for you there, guaranteed. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.